Welcome back to Silver Hammer Brewing. This is the most jankiest DIY garage core homebrew channel on the internet. Appreciate you joining me though. Brewing solo today. Eli's not here. He ain't feeling too good. Brewing an international dark lager. Looking for an SRM of 15. It's going to give it a nice scarlet red color. And since it's going to be a red lager, I'm calling it Red Rocket. Because why the fuck not? Got 6 pounds of Viking Pilsner. Would have been 8 pounds, but the bag wasn't closed properly, so bam. Had a mess when I was going to measure things. So I had to redo the whole freaking recipe on the fly. Just kind of made the recipe just from shit that I already had. I didn't want to brew the same beer back to back. So going with something a little different. We also have 2 pounds of Maris Otter from Thomas Fawcett. Got a half a pound of Crystal 75. It's Crystal 7080, but we're going to call it 75. And then to get to the color that we're wanting, and I did want a little bit of a roastiness to it, not a whole lot, but I'm using a smidge of Baird's chocolate malt. Just enough to bump us up to that 15 SRM, give a slight little roasty, kind of chocolatey background, almost coffee-like, but it's not going to be like, bah, in your face. It'll be subtle, hopefully. We'll see. So currently mashing in the mash tun, and once that mashes for about an hour, I'll Vorloff, get a little bit of a picture of that. And then we'll go to the boil. We're going to use Pacifica hops, which are a New Zealand variety of Hallertau Mittelpubit. So it's got a nice of that noble quality, kind of herbal and spicy with a tad bit of citrusy. But I've used this hop a lot, mainly because I got a pound of it for, I think I paid like 10 cents an ounce because they had a sale on Northern Brewer. Shout out Northern Brewer. And that citrusy doesn't really come out unless you're using it in late hop additions or, Whirlpool or a dry hop. If you use it at the beginning of your boil, I haven't been able to really tell the difference between it and Hallertau. Alpha acids are about the same. I think this alpha acid was like 4.1, 4.2%. So we're hitting with an ounce at the 60-minute addition, and then I might kind of tweak it, bump the AB or the IBUs up a little bit, but I don't want an overly bitter beer. We're gonna get a little bit of that bitterness already from the chocolate malt, so I don't want to overdo it on the hops. Anyway, so when I come back, we will be Vorloffing. Side note, I didn't want to have to delete that last segment, so I'm just gonna correct myself now. I didn't pay 10 cents an ounce. I don't know what the fuck I was thinking. I did math right in my head, okay? I haven't had enough coffee today. But it was more like 50 cents an ounce. I only paid like $8 for a whole freaking pound. But yeah, once again, shout out to Northern Brewer. And if you are looking to get into home brewing, I highly suggest Northern Brewer and More Beer. Here lately, I've mainly been using More Beer just because their shipping costs are better for me. It's free shipping over 50. Last time I ordered from Northern Brew, it's like free shipping over like $99 or some shit like that, which I'm normally spending over 100 anyways, but I've been using More Beer here lately. They both have great selection. Their starter kits are awesome. Highly recommend. I got started on a Northern Brewer kit, and it just came with a small little kettle. It was a extract kit with some specialty grains, but I've obviously moved on from that. But yeah, if you're really interested in getting into this as just a hobby or something to fuck around with, go check them out. And also, word of advice: stay the fuck away from any glass carboys or glass instruments when brewing, because shit gets knocked over, shit gets dropped, and shit gets broken. And I much rather have a cracked plastic fermenter than a shattered fucking glass carboy. Stay away from glass. Simple. Just don't fucking do it. Even if you're thinking about it, don't fucking do it. It might look nice, but you're gonna fucking regret it one day. All right, so we haven't even filled this up yet completely. This is the first go of Vorloffing, and it's already coming out pretty freaking clear. So right now, it's not quite the color we're wanting, but after we boil it down and it gets a little bit more concentrated, it'll probably be right on where we want it. All right, still coming out pretty clear. I'm probably not gonna have to do this too many times, but you can see all these little bits that are trapped up here. So the reason why I use this is it's gonna disperse the wort as it trickles back down in. So I'm not pouring all in one spot and disrupting the grain bed. Now down here, as you can see, I barely got this valve cracked. The reason why is we want to slowly draw that wort down through. And if we do it too fast, it'll clog up the screen I have in here. And doing it slow like this helps set the grain bed. So we're going to use the grains inside as a filter. And when we're trickling it back over, and this, I have these holes real small on here to help catch the smaller, finer particles. But that we're going to basically filter the entire wort back through the grain bed so that we get really clear wort coming out going into the brew kettle. Makes it a lot easier to have a clearer beer. Your efficiency is going to be better because in the process of doing that, we're also going to be washing all the sugars out and getting it more evenly distributed through the wort. All right, so we're done boil offing. I mean, you can see how that stuff is damn near crystal clear. Now, just in case any floaties do come through, I'm putting it in here through the hop spider. And whenever I put it on the burner, I'll take this out and go spray it down and get things back up. So, I mean, look at that color. It's a beautiful color. And I think it's going to turn out exactly the way I wanted it. We are good to go here, I think. As far as our pre-boil gravity, and like we're damn near spot on. We are a couple points low. That's because in Brewsmith, it's showing me for what it would be if I sparge. Now, I'm doing a full volume mash, which basically means I'm not sparging. There's no extra water I'm adding to it. All volume is in the mash. So I mash with 8 gallons of just the city water. I hit it with a Kanban tablet. I want a little minerality in this. I don't want this one too soft like that American lager was. I brew with this water all the time. It's good water. Do I know the water profile? Absolutely not. But so far, it's made pretty good beer. So any water chemistry snobs out there, fuck off. But with that said, everything looks like it's going good. This color is, it's a beautiful color. I'm very happy with the way it turned out. I'll show you in, I don't know how well you can see that. That's in the hydrometer right now. We're hitting at about 148 on the pre-boil gravity, which I was shooting for like 151. So I think we did a pretty damn good job on that. And then once this is done draining into the pot, once again, have that valve closed or barely open. You don't want the wort to flow too quick, because that wort flows too quick, you're gonna suck those grains into that bazooka screen that I have down in there, and it's just gonna be a freaking nightmare. So about the same speed that I've Orloffed at is what I have it cracked to put it in the boil kettle. So once that's done draining, slap that boil kettle on the burner, and as it's getting up to heat, while we're getting up to boil, I'll go clean out the mash tun, get it all sprayed up, cleaned out, all good to go, as well as the diffusion plate, whereas the homemade DIY diffusion plate that was just a lid that came with the starter kit I got from Northern Brewer. Obviously, I'm not using that same kettle anymore, so I have no use for that lid except for the diffusion plate, and it does its job fantastic. So I'll come back once we're in the boil, and about, I'd say 30 minutes into the boil when I add the first hop addition, or the only hop addition actually. So I'll see y'all then. I was starting to get really curious and decided to pour myself a little, or really steal a little bit of the wort, and it's delicious. I mean, I know that's not what the beer is going to taste like, but I'm getting some like mild notes of caramel, a little bit of like a toasty breadiness, and a slight little tinge of kind of like a roasty chocolate / coffee, but it's like very faint on the back end. And obviously these flavors are going to get doled down in the boiling and the fermenting process. But this is one of the best worts I've ever tasted out of all of our beers. And we've had some fucking tasty beers. So I'm fucking excited to get some Red Rocket in my mouth. All right, got everything drained out. There's no more liquid in there. There might be some residual, but this is why we go slow. If you can see, you have this lighter color, finer stuff on the top. Let's see if I can use these to grab some. That's why we go slow, and we recirculate, or we pour it over the top, is to turn all those grains into a filter. You go too fast, that doesn't work. You just dump it all back in, that doesn't work either. So, we got it all in there. And then, see how much. It's hard to tell because of this, but got a little bit of sediment down in there, not much. So, I'm gonna go ahead and crank this up. It's gonna get loud, so get this up to a boil, and then I'll come back when we add the hops. All right, about to add our 30-minute addition. And like I said earlier, the citrus notes don't really come out unless you're using as a later hop addition. We're going in at 30-minute, 1 whole ounce, and with my experience with this, it's pretty much just like using like a halotau, as long as you're not putting it in as a late addition. As a late addition, you still get the spicy and floral notes, but you get a little more citrus. So, and always watch your boil very carefully. I turned my back earlier for a split second and had a boil over. Got it all cleaned up. Probably lost about half a gallon of wort. And when you add the hops, you really need to pay attention because you're at risk for a boil over. I use this stuff called Firm Cap. It is a food grade silicone that helps break the surface. It doesn't change any flavors or anything like that to the beer, but it helps break the surface tension to prevent boil overs. All right, so next what we're gonna do is in about 15 minutes, I'm going to add a Warflock tablet, the immersion chiller, and a little bit of yeast nutrient. There should be plenty of nutrient in this wort for the yeast, but it doesn't hurt, man. Throw a little yeast nutrient, just a couple grams, it don't matter. Remember, a happy yeast is going to feast, and you don't want off flavors, and you don't want to stress that yeast any more than you already are. So we're gonna add yeast nutrient. All right, so we are chilling now. Got my immersion chiller in here. Show you what this looks like. It's a pretty small one, so it takes a little bit for it to chill that wort down. But overall, I think we are going to have a successful batch. And I'm going to come back in here and check on this in about 30 minutes. See if how far we've chilled down. In the meantime, while that's chilling down, I am going to fill up the keg with sanitizer. And I am going to ferment this one under pressure. Probably ferment around 10 PSI. And I'm going to leave it in my closet. So once this is all done, we'll go ahead and ferment it. I'm going to use Nova Lager on this one, just like I did the batch I did yesterday. I really like the Nova Lager yeast. This is like the 5th batch, maybe 6th batch I've done with it. And it does really well at 60 degrees. 65, it does okay. That batch of mullet that we did, we fermented with it. I fermented at 65 with that one, and at first it had some kind of a strong, I don't want to say strong alcohol flavor, but it was definitely present. And after a month of lagering, it went away. So I don't think it was too much of a problem. It was just a little bit of an off flavor. And with most off flavors, the best solution is time. You know, this Nova Lager is real clean. I've used it in a batch where I brewed it on a Saturday and was drinking it the following Saturday. It ferments, I mean, literally 4 or 5 days at like 60 to 65 degrees. So this one I'm fermenting around room temp in my house. Right now, we're keeping it around 68, 70 degrees. It's still hot here in Texas. Well, it's not cold yet. I should say that. We've been in like the 70s. So it'll stay at 70 under pressure for probably the next 3 days, and it'll probably be done. And also when you ferment under pressure, you start to carbonate while you're fermenting. And this way I can go ahead and get that one done. Last week's is done. And on Friday, I'm gonna cold crash. So I'll set the keezer at about 38 degrees on Friday night. And then on Saturday, I will force carb I'll force carb the brown ale using this diffusion stone. Probably 5-6 hours on that, and then transfer that over. And then I'm gonna transfer this Red Rock into a new keg and carb it then with that for a couple hours. Probably be pushing around 20-30 psi while I do that. You want your beer cold when you carbonate, and especially if you're force carbonating, because the beer is going to absorb it better. So I will come back whenever I've got it in the keg and about to pitch the yeast. All right, we got our keg full. Got 2 packages of Nova Lager going in now. Sorry for my shitty one-handed video skills. Now, this keg has been thoroughly cleaned and sanitized. Now, we are going to add the spunding valve. Now, I already have it set. I put it up to another keg and got it up to 15 psi. And then when I did that, I had this all the way tightened to the right, and then slowly started untightening it until the needle moved off of 15. So we're actually going to be fermenting at about 12 psi. That's where I set it at. But whenever you go to use one of these, it's easiest to go ahead and set it up to where, like I said, just tighten it all the way up, put it on a pressurized keg, and just keep loosening it up until you get the pressure where you want it. So I went just below 12 and then tightened it up just a smidgen the other direction. So this brew day is done. The only thing left now is to check our final our original gravity, which is right here. I don't know if you guys can see it very well. It's been a pain in the butt to try to get it, but that's the color as of right now. Now it's gonna clear up, and it's hard to see for you, but for me, looking at it with the light in the background, it is exactly the color I was looking for. So that red color is hard to see outright, but when you put it up in the light, it will come through, and it just super crimson color. Actually, you know what? I'll be right back. I'm gonna go get a flashlight and see if I can show you. So obviously it's gonna be super yellow right there, but right about here, you can see where it starts to get a little bit of a red color. I'm not getting the same result looking through it like this as I was. Let me put it in a cup and get all the little nasties out of it. All right, you see that reddish amber crimson hue? That's what we were going for right there. This is Red Rocket. Well, try to ignore the stray cat in my backyard or the dogs in the next one. I don't know if you guys can hear that or not. But anyways, thanks for joining me today. This is probably the longest one we've done so far. I know normally there's a bunch of tomfoolery in these videos, but today was just kind of straightforward. Wanted to get a little bit more in depth with what I was doing. If there's any questions, hit me up. Leave a comment. Send me an email. Beat me if you need to. But yeah, we hit all the numbers that relatively close to what we were expecting. I'm happy with the color, which I know it's stupid. Like, oh, I want to brew a beer because of this specific color. Originally, that's not what I was going for. I was just trying to throw something together that wasn't just another American lager, because I brewed one of those yesterday. And I didn't want something super hoppy because most of the people that come over here don't like super hoppy beers. I like a hoppy beer, but I'm not going to sit here and want to have 5 gallons and nobody else drink it with me. So, yeah, we wound up with about 12 IBUs. We should end up with like a 5.2 to 5.5% beer. We'll see how far down it ferments. Bruce Smith is saying it's going to ferment down to like 10, 17. I think we're going to get lower than that, to be honest with you. But, sorry, I keep hearing something. Anyways, so I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Like, comment, subscribe, tell your grandma about us, and see you guys next time. And always, get hammered responsibly.